Okay. I'm watching all the names. Good morning. I see people, I don't know that they're connected. Let's see. Nope, connecting to audio. No one can hear me. Maybe they can hear me. I can't hear them.
Yeah, we can hear you.
There you are. So be careful what I say this early.
Doesn't matter to me.
It's being recorded. It will matter.
Well, for the folks who have joined us already, we're just going to ask everybody to kind of leave a digital business card. If you would type your information in the chat box so that we know who's joined us this morning, and we can send out information to everyone later.
If you wouldn't mind in the chat, put your name, your company name, and the industry you're in. That way, if we can't tell from the company name what you do, that'll be helpful too as part of the conversation goes along. I'm just watching everybody's names. I want to see who the curious cat is. And I see a lot of you in here that are just names. I don't know if you're planning to log in with your camera, but there's several people I can't see. I only see the name. So if you want to turn your camera on, it would be great to actually see you. Some of you don't have your actual name on your profile. And I don't know if you can change that in time, but you may have to identify yourself when you speak. We won't know who we're talking to.
Hi, good morning. Eric Pohl with Edward Jones here.
Hi, Eric.
Hi. I don't have the camera because Zoom is blocked on our laptops.
Ah, I see.
And I'm on my phone, and I don't have a tripod for it, so it would not be a nice video. Trust me.
Well, I figure there are a lot of people I understand who are in their pajamas still, so that's okay.
Yeah. So good morning, everybody.
We'll just look from here. So those of you who are just joining us, if you wouldn't mind in the chat room, put your name, your company, and what industry you're in so that we know who we're talking to and what topics we might be encountering. We have 13 people. Seems like we're going to wait a few more minutes for a few more people. Kelly and I were talking earlier before we let everybody in how different everybody's window looks. So it's hard to tell somebody when they're having challenges with Zoom, and we all know them. I think we could have a whole hour just on that, Zoom snafus, trying to figure out. But when you want to speak, because we put you all on mute, you'll have to raise your hand. So if you do this, we may or may not see you depending on how many participants there are, but there is an actual raise the hand button. Because Kelly and I are hosts, we can't see it, because we don't have to raise our hand. As far as I know, for most people, it is in your toolbar at the bottom. I forget exactly where it is because I can't see it today, but there is a little hand button that you can do if you want to speak, and we'll unmute you. Kelly, I don't know, do you know if they have the ability to unmute themselves when we?
I think they do. I
Okay.
think they have the ability to unmute themselves. I see
I
Brad
wasn't
raised
sure if
his,
you had-
gave us a thumbs up.
Okay, good. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you had full control or not.
Well, this will test it.
There you go. You did it all by yourself. Brad's in. He can break in anytime now.
We still have folks that are continuing to join. And then for anybody who has just recently joined us, we've asked that, if you take a moment to type your name and your company name and the industry that you're in the chat box.
Sorry, I'm giggling because I'm watching Brad's cat go behind him. I've seen children, I've seen pets. It's always fun working in new places now.
My 10 and 8-year-old will inevitably come in at some point demanding something that's critical at that moment.
Of course it is. Yep. All right, so I just noticed Kyle says he has no mic or camera on the computer. So Kyle, when you want to break in, if you would just put a little chat in here. At the end, just so everybody knows, after we're done here, we're going to send out all of the registration information so that everybody knows who else was part of the conversation. But also, I'm going to be sending out notes from today and some of the chat and links and suggestions that other people have so that we have a little bit of resources. As we talk about challenges that everybody's facing now, other people may have solutions or links to information, things you might want to look at. So we'll be sending all of that out at the end. So if you have something helpful as someone's talking, you can go ahead and put a link or some information in the chat, even if you don't get a chance to speak, so that we'll have that information. And I'm going to try to take notes, but I won't capture everything. So the chat's going to be important too. Let's see, and Greg says, if you open the participants window, you'll see the raise hand feature. Thank you, Greg. Pamela is going to also be tossing things into the chat room because she has no microphone.
All right. I don't know if you want to go ahead and get started, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think that would be great. We've got 25 people here right now. I know we had more register, but as they slowly come in, we'll introduce them, and I think we're ready to just keep rolling.
Okay. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. My name is Kelly Elliott. I'm the Director of Operations with the Prince William Chamber. We are trying to provide services like this to all of our members and to the community. There will be a town hall meeting with Senator McPike that we're going to be doing Monday night. So keep an eye out for that information. We're also offering some webinars with the SBDC on PPP loans. So if you have questions, please feel free to register for that. Send questions directly to me, and we'll try and get the answers that you need. And I know that Ross, our Director of Government Relations and Communications, has been sending out daily updates and alerts to link everybody to information that they might need during this stay-at-home order, and kind of get everybody informed. So I am going to let Jennifer take it away.
Thank you. I'm glad so many of you are here. The point of this whole hour is going to be really just for business owners and business people in the community to talk about the challenges that they're facing right now. We're all sort of in uncharted waters. It's new to everybody. I don't think any of us have seen anything like this. And so we're all facing challenges where some of us may be having unique challenges that are just ours alone, and some of us may be facing challenges that others are facing as well. So it's a great opportunity for everybody to come together. It's sort of the 2 heads are better than 1. And of course, what do we have? 27 heads are definitely better than 2. So we can share the experiences that we're having, and you may have a solution that somebody else doesn't know of for similar situations and issues. But also we may be able to brainstorm some creative solutions for someone who's having a unique problem that they don't know what to do and no one else has encountered either. So first I want to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Goldman, if you don't know me. And I see a lot of familiar faces, but I see a lot of people I don't know. I own a management consulting company called Resonance. I'm in Vint Hill, so I'm right on the edge of Prince William County. But also I'm a Manassas girl. I graduated not so recently from Stonewall Jackson. And I just wanted to be able to help business owners communicate with each other. If we can come up with some solutions and help each other out, I think that would be great. Like I mentioned earlier, if you didn't hear it, if you would put your name, your company, and your industry in the chat, because I know, like if I tell you my company's name is Resonance, you will have no idea what that does. So it's helpful to have the industry in there as well. And anytime someone is speaking, if you have something you want to say in response, we'll try to get to you if you raise your hand. But if we don't, you can always put what you have to say in the chat as well, especially if you have links to information that you can share that would be helpful to someone. So it's really a round table. I'm here to help facilitate it, but it is about you all and what you're facing and challenges, solutions, anything that you'd like to add for small business people right now. Does somebody have a problem or an issue, a challenge that their company is having that they think is not a common one? I gotta see. Shauna?
Hi, yes, I'm Shauna Hopper with Red Effect Infrared Fitness. So I don't think it's common. I haven't talked to many people in this situation, but we were under construction. We're a new fitness studio coming to Gainesville, Virginia. We hadn't opened yet. So we were still under construction when everything got shut down. We've managed to continue some of our construction and we think we can finish, but we don't qualify for any other relief loans because we didn't have anyone on payroll yet. And we can't really show losses. We have projections of what we planned to open in April. So we can only show projections of what we have lost. So when we go in to fill out any of the forms, I think one of the first questions is, what was your payroll or what was your income? And 0 divided by 2 is still 0. So if you have if we'd like to get an advance or an extension, a larger funding amount on the current SBA loan we have, but right now our bank is telling us that that's not an option.
It's not an option to get an extension? Wow.
Well, not an extension, but adding more funding because we've spent more money now because it's taken us longer to open and it's going to take us longer to open. We've lost free rent that we had negotiated into our lease. So there's not a way to really show the value of free rent that comes into play as you're opening, right? Because the opening time is the most difficult part of opening a business for most businesses. So
Yeah, and
I don't know if there's anything we can do.
Yeah, you can't anticipate either when you will be able to open.
Right.
Does anybody have any resources or thoughts, business that was still forming? I'm assuming, Shauna, when you say, you're under construction, you're about to open, this isn't a business that was expanding into Gainesville, it's a new business?
We're a franchise.
Okay.
So, right, we are brand new.
Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts or anything that they think might help for a new business that was ready to launch? You have no business history or business credit. So all you have are projections, which is hard enough to get investment and loans for that. But how do you get relief for a business that's brand new and just starting out? Definitely.
I might be able to chime in.
Go ahead.
This is Cole Spalding. I'm a commercial real estate broker with Newmark Knight Frank. And obviously Sean, I'm sure you've already done this. The first thing, have you had conversations with the landlord? Because really they're in the same boat as you. Were you funding all your own build out or was the landlord?
So we are going to be able to receive tenant improvement costs. That's one of the sticking points. We have free rent until June. We're going to ask our landlord, because we in our lease, we are expected to be open by April 30th. We hope that they're not going to stick us to that. Obviously, we can't open April 30th if this stay home order and the closed gyms continues. But one of the things that we've been talking with some other commercial real estate agents about and lawyers about is that if we ask for rent to be abated longer, that's kind of null and, I mean, it's going against our lease to some extent, and they could just take it out of our tenant improvement costs, which we don't want to lose that either. We don't receive our tenant improvement costs until our construction and we have our C of O, then we get that. So we're kind of in this, we could ask for it, but at the same time, we don't want to have them say, okay, well, we'll just take that out of your tenant improvement costs that we were going to give you.
Well, I don't think, I mean, look, I don't know who your landlord is and every situation is different, but in your particular scenario, look, the landlord's spending money right now too, right? So I think that what I'm seeing a lot of my clients, what's happening is if they ask for relief now, the most logical thing would be right now is for the landlord to then extend your lease by X amount of months. And theoretically, yes, it's a longer lease term and liability for you, but at the end of the day, if at the end of 5 years, what's another 3 or 4 months of lease obligation? Hopefully you're up and running and things are going great. I just don't know, if the landlord can't get blood from a stone, right? I mean, my advice would be, don't involve a lawyer. Pick up the phone, call them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's our plan, is to ask for the lease, extending the lease, basically. So.
Yeah, I would
Shauna.
recommend a lot of the same is just, speaking to the vendors and landlord creditors that you already have. I don't know if there's a way to get further investment from anybody, but also maybe the local economic development department. I know ours in Fauquier County is putting together microloans. The smaller, more localized organizations are more likely to have faith in a business that's just launching. I'm sure you have a local SBDC there that might be a little more invested. Greg, were you? Or Teresa? Okay.
You said you're a
Teresa, then I'll go.
franchise, Shauna?
Yes.
And the franchise help at all with this? I'm sure they have other franchises in the same situation.
Yes, they are. They're trying, but they've been advising us to just apply to these relief packages that we really don't. I mean, there's only a couple other franchisees. I think one other one that was actually under construction. The rest were all signed on. They just hadn't started yet, so they haven't really invested anything at that point. So there's only one other franchise besides us who are in this particular situation. We have a call with them later this afternoon to see if they have more information for us, but they were really focusing on, I think they weren't realizing the situation that we're in and thought we could apply to these loans and get relief as well. So they know that, but I don't think they've been able to help us yet.
Hopefully they'll come through for you because they have a vested interest in this as well.
Yeah. And they've advised us the same with the landlord situation, the same as Cole had just said. So thank you.
So Shauna, I wanted to ask a question on a slightly different side of this.
Greg.
And maybe this is not the challenge that you're facing. And if that's not the challenge, then just let me know. But so infrared fitness, I'm kind of curious, what's the differentiator there between other fitness groups? And are you doing anything to build community and put yourself out there, even, virtually, to build up that interest base so that when you are open, you have that community? Are you doing anything like that?
Yes, I'm still doing. Yep. So the way that we differentiate ourselves is with the infrared. We actually work out in an infrared therapy room. It's a comfortable 80 degrees. It actually allows your muscles to warm up before you even start your workout. You have less chance for injury, quicker recovery, and you actually pull 7 times more toxins from your body. We also have infrared saunas you can sit in after your workout or on your off days. And what we've really been doing is reaching out and sharing the education about what we offer to our community and our members. We actually have 153 members before we've opened. So we have people ready and getting excited to get in there, and that's great. I'm trying to retain those members and not lose them. And then I also have staff that I hired that hadn't started yet. So I'm trying to retain my staff. I have 11 staff. So our corporate is actually helping a lot with the education. We're doing emails on Mondays and Fridays, providing educational information about infrared. Actually does help you build your immune system, but we don't want to offer any claims that it can, counter the effects of coronavirus either. But yeah, so we're carefully working through that too.
Okay, sounds great. It sounds like that's a really good thing you're doing, a great differentiator, and a lot of benefits, and you're communicating that, and you have a growing community. So,
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Shauna, just out of curiosity, where can you share where you're going?
Yeah, so we're in the Virginia Gateway Plaza and the Giant Plaza. So it's right on the corner of the Giant Plaza, catty corner to Chick-fil-A, and across
Yep.
from Zoe's Kitchen.
So Crow is your landlord?
It's
Peterson is, Peterson
Manage-
manages the project,
Yeah.
and then Crow out of Texas is your landlord.
Yes.
You've got your work cut out for you.
I know. Peterson's actually been pretty great. So
Yes,
throughout this.
Peterson will be great, but the ownership, they've been pretty tough over there on some of the tenants with rent and stuff like that. Now, maybe their position has changed based on everything that's going on, but you've got your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's keep moving the conversation. Does anybody have a challenge that they are facing right now that seems
Actually,
maybe somewhat
Jennifer,
common? Yes.
there's a paragraph here in the chat from Astrid Ruiz
Okay.
about a challenge that she has right now. I don't know if you want to go ahead and read that.
I'm trying to find where Astrid is. Astrid, are you able to speak as well? Do you have a camera and a mic?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Great.
Do you want to say what it is? I'm trying to read at the same time.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and. So my greatest challenge right now is overcoming public and private sector procurement barriers and inaction. I have a wide international network, and I've been working for the past 3 weeks round the clock with a group of other small partner companies who also work internationally. We have vetted suppliers of certified personal protective equipment and other urgently needed supplies that can be made available right away, but neither state nor local governments have responded effectively. They've basically just directed us to online procurement systems that don't work in emergency situations, or they're refusing to change their procedures, failing to recognize that they have to compete worldwide with countries everywhere for the same supplies. In the private sector, hospitals and healthcare organizations are also bogged down in the same procurement system. It's as if everyone was a deer in headlights.
I think we all were for a while.
I mean, we're not looking to make a market kill, we're just trying to help by putting our resources to work to save lives, by bridging the widening gap between demand and availability, but everyone seems to be drowning in bureaucracy and red tape and inaction and blindness that is costing lives. And that's the problem that I and my partners are facing right now.
Yeah, that's a really difficult one. And I don't know if anyone can speak to this as well. When you're trying to get through procurement, you are dealing with the bureaucracy and the red tape and the government. It's not just a conversation you can have with somebody and the situation goes away. There's still certain channels you have to go through. Does anybody also have issues with procurement right now? I know my biggest procurement issue is I run 2 business centers and I can't get toilet paper for them. But that's my biggest procurement challenge at the moment.
Astrid, this is Andrew Kim, Casco LLC.
Hi, Andrew.
It's good to see you and hear you from you as well. But yes, I'm very similar in your situation and circumstances. My situation, yeah, I have supplies from South Korea. How I'm seeing the situation right now, you're absolutely right. It is very, very tough. And it is, we got to kind of think of two things here. One, after looking at least honestly through those procurement portals, a lot of these things have already been awarded. A lot of the supplies have already been awarded. And with a lot of the typical channels of, even before even it getting to procurement or getting to the purchase order status, the request for informations and everything else, that's already been done. So there's a large amount of vendors that have already beat us to the punch. At the same time, for some of the other things that I've been trying to do, and is unfortunately it kind of old school ways, going and knocking on everybody's door. Again, I think with the Chamber of Commerce a little bit, I was informed by some of the people at Patient First, for example, our urgent care, our local urgent care. So getting in connection with them and seeing if we can just start knocking on the doors that way, instead of going through the procurement process. If we do think of the procurement process, it's going to be bombarded and it's overloaded right now. Same thing when we talk about the loan situations that all small businesses are trying to face right now. So it's all across the board. But this is our time in which we have to really invest and weigh heavily on our own networks, our business relationships. That's going to be the next competitive edge that we're all going to start to define here in this particular sector. And unfortunately, yes, our moralities dictates, I need to get this to these people. How do I obtain all of that? But from how I'm seeing things right now, we're kind of a little too late in a sense. It's not to say that for any discouragement, but we have to drastically pivot and change our way of thinking of the traditional ways of procurement. I have reached out. I have good friends that are nurses and doctors and what have you, and even to their extent, in our local community right now, it doesn't seem like there is a real dire need for a lot of this stuff just as of yet in regards to like a New York or a Chicago or LA, which they do need that kind of stuff. Our local community has been doing a very good job of getting this and being on the forefront of trying to get all of this stuff all ready to go. And just hearing from a lot of the nurses and doctors, they seem to have a good steady supply of their stuff. Now, we go down the road a little bit later, that might not be the case. So I think right now is the best thing we could be doing is just getting in contact with the local doctors, local urgent cares and hospitals, and just really putting yourself out there. Hey, I am a vendor. I am able to do this. I'm able to, not only source from here in the States, but also internationally, is going to probably be the best solution in tackling this situation.
And Andrew, I think you're right. Right now, more than ever, our relationships matter in business. Thomas, I see your hand up. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think that we all have to be advised too that there's a lot of, for lack of a better word, real slimy things going on in that particular market. I've been involved in it in the past, and I had friends come to me recently here and was discussing it and trying to see, and I was like, if you don't really have a past in it, a background, if you're trying to, it's like Andrew was saying, it's really hard to buy into that authenticity that's what you do. It's kind of, you're coming up and it sounds like you're trying to make a buck, and everybody's radar is wide open on this. And regardless of how the media portrays it on TV, Andrew's right. It's not consistent everywhere. it's in certain locations. And I have a lot of relationships within the DC area, and I'm finding a lot of what, just in casual conversation, of what Andrew is saying. We are in good spots. You need to be in the spots where there's maybe a little bit more supply need, but at the same time, you got to remember that you're standing in a big, huge line, because everybody has the partner that's coming from South Korea or from some other place that's got it. I mean, I've gotten hit just over the last weekend with 15 different people contacting me because I have a past doing this very thing, and they're trying to get me to help them get someplace. So just be advised, it's kind of an uphill battle. Everybody's got their radar out. Everybody's thinking that they're fixing to get cheated. And if you happen to be part of a group that has a big, huge chain behind you, that's going to be another liability on your side.
Can I say something?
Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
just wanted to say a couple things. One, Andrew, thanks for your comments. And we have not focused on going through the procurement chain at all. We're not the traditional type of supplier. But everyone, okay, so representatives, senators that we've contacted, and then other public institutions, they all refer us to the procurement system that doesn't work.
Right.
Second, the key words that you said are "as of yet," and that's the big problem. If everyone is waiting to get to the situation of New York, when they get there, it's going to be too late, and more people are going to die. So I am really very surprised at the lack of a foresight. And so one of the possible solutions, does anyone know of a company with an FDA ID number that I could contact?
I don't know. I don't see anybody
Yeah,
trying to
I don't have any.
Astrid, I'm going to just tell everybody, if you have someone, a source or something that you think Astrid could look into, maybe put it in the chat room and we'll send that out later. But I want to go ahead and see if anybody has maybe a little more common issue that others here might have already faced, maybe found solutions to, or are trying things. What kinds of things are you all dealing with right now? What's changed in your world? What's new? What, maybe that you took for granted that's now a challenge. Michelle?
Hi, good morning. My name's Michelle Falux. I am the owner of Willow Moon Healing. I am a boutique spa located in Manassas, and the bulk of my business is in-person massage therapy services. I have been in Manassas. I've been operating for 9 years now, and this has ground my business to a complete halt. I have another massage therapist who is an independent contractor that rents a room for me. I have an esthetician who rents a room for me. I have a Reiki practitioner who rents a room in my space. All of us are not allowed to work right now due to the state mandate. With myself, with massage therapy, I do not have any products, so I do not have anything like that to fall back on to try to sell. I have been trying to promote, gift cards, buying massage packages. That really has not gone anywhere. I do have virtual services available, but some of it is like long distance Reiki healing. A lot of people aren't as familiar with that, so that really hasn't gone anywhere. I have body mind coaching. It's something that I just started last year that I was just starting to get underway with offering. It helps, pick a couple of items that people are having stress with and coach them through that. I can do that virtually, either over the phone or Zoom. But since that was a relatively new service, that has also stalled. I've been keeping up with social media, my Facebook page, my Instagram account, and I recently just started a weekly Facebook Live series called Monday Morning Mimosa with Michelle, because I'm a sucker for alliteration, and why not make someone smile during this time? And so I'm doing that for free. Facebook Live, I use Zoom to stream it, and I have guest speakers and such. And this week was just my second one. So those are the things that I'm trying. But otherwise, it feels like I am just trying to keep my head above water. I just tried to apply. I'm in the process of trying to apply for the PPP. I know I had to wait because I file as a sole proprietor. I did apply for the up to 10,000, which I think now has been officially 1,000 grant. I have not heard any word from that. And unemployment assistance, again, I had to wait for the CARES Act for the state of Virginia to apply the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which expands to people like myself and other independent contractors, gig workers, to be eligible. But the unemployment system, it is a nightmare. I don't know if anyone here has tried or knows anyone that has tried. And I have applied, I haven't heard anything back. It's not even really seems to be fully set up for those of us that are now eligible through this PUA aspect of the CARES Act. So I'm open to any and all suggestions right now, because to say I'm struggling is the least. My husband is a government contractor, and he has not been able to work, and since he is under a contractor, he does not get paid either. So
well, I see Andrea has her hand up. Andrea, did you have something you wanted to say that might help Michelle?
Well, I'm hoping good morning, everyone. As a new elected official, I'm just so feeling your pain on the phone. And my question is, we need to, this is a great call, because we need to know, what do we need to do to kind of ease the pain? I'm very sensitive to the procurement piece that my friend just mentioned, and thank you, Michelle, for the last comments about everything that you've applied for and the processes, and I have to say that we just, of course, we're not prepared. And so I need to know, in serving as your elected official, not just in Potomac, but across the board, what specific things that we can kind of help in expediting, if possible, to stop the process from being so slow. And I certainly want to work with the chamber to do so, but please, just if you could just give me some clue as to what I can do, sitting in the seat along with my colleagues, to make changes to ease the pain for the community.
For me personally, I think a lot of it would be some sort of help in clarifying. A lot of these applications are not fully set up for myself as a sole proprietor, for other people that especially rent rooms for me that are independent contractors. And a lot of the how-to videos and literature that are out there have nothing to do with us. Maybe I just haven't found them. So, I mean, if somebody has, please direct me. That has been the most frustrating piece, is that I'm trying to fill these out, but I don't 100% fit into the box that they have laid out for me, and it adds to the frustration. That's what I find is the biggest. It's not fully set up for those of us that we are now eligible for. So it still feels like we're kind of like left by the wayside. Another thing is that I know that there are a lot of efforts in keeping restaurants and bars going, but those of us that are doing personal services, I do feel that some people have kind of forgotten about us. And I know someone mentioned about in-home massages. Mm-hmm. I personally am one that has been very much of I need to stay at home and not contribute to the possible spread of this. I paused my services before the state mandated me to. And so I really, while I believe there might be a legal loophole for me to do that, I don't really feel comfortable with that. Also, I have found that if I'm state mandated to stay home, I'm not covered with my liability insurance.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and good of you to protect yourself as well. Andrew, if I can add to what you were saying, I know, and it's not just, you know, people who are providing personal services, but a lot of what we call solopreneurs, business owners who are sole proprietors with no employees, no staff, just a single person business. There are a lot of protection and programs right now that are going around that really don't apply to us. We don't have payroll, things like that. So when you're looking for something to do, finding those boxes that Michelle was talking that we fit into, the packages that we could apply for, what is available for a single person business. I think that's an important resource for a lot of small businesses. And Jean, I see you have your hand up. What would you like to say?
Michelle said. Oh, I'm unmuted.
There you go.
Okay, I just wanted to add to what Michelle said, just to hopefully make you feel better. I don't think people are forgetting about businesses like yours, because I think about, you know, the lady who does my hair that I've been going to for 20 years, the lady that does my nails, and I've been thinking about texting them and, you know, just making sure they're doing okay, because I know how much of a struggle it is, you know, and people who, like restaurants, count on that money coming in every day to pay their bills, not having that. I just hope that they stay open. So, Michelle, I do think people aren't forgetting. They just might not be talking about it as much on social media. And if that is a concern of yours, I would just try to stay in front of people on social media and online as much as possible. Even if you aren't seeing an immediate return, when things eventually get back to normal, if they see your name and know about you and what you do, you might get clients that you otherwise wouldn't have before. Like maybe some free trainings, or like just showing what you do, you know, with your husband, or I don't know, like whatever you feel comfortable doing, I think would be
Yeah, I thought about that too. I don't know if videos for people that, you know, I don't know how well it works massaging yourself, but maybe teaching. But yeah, I was ready to jump on the in-home if you said yes for that, because I think we're all feeling the same thing, is there's not going to be going back to what normal was. We're moving forward, and I think a lot of us are going to realize there are so many things that we miss, so much more than we thought we would, but there are also so many things that we realize we can do without. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't know if I can speak for every woman here, but we are all missing the massages, the nail parlors, the hair salons. I promise you, we are that's where we are all making a beeline to when we're allowed. The salons and the bars may be the two overcrowded things right now, or as soon as we can. So Michelle, I hope you can hang in there, and maybe Andrea can find some more resources. And I know it sounds like you have a whole building full of people who are in your boat. But yeah, I think the more that you can stay in front of people, like Jean says, you know, in the meantime, you've got to pay your bills too. So if you can monetize any of the things you're doing, maybe you find something that you're doing on social media becomes pretty popular, and then maybe break it down into smaller or one-on-one services that you can do for money. I know, and I don't know if it's only the upgraded thing, but you can add webinar capabilities that you can charge people for on Zoom. But there's, you know, there's other ways to allow people to pay for your services as well. So maybe some of that would work. Andrew, I see your hand. Oh, I can't hear you. Hang on. Okay, try now. Andrew, are you there?
Oh, I'm here. Sorry, I had myself muted.
There you go.
So Michelle, I can totally understand, even though I'm procurement, government, and kind of import export in the same situation, but I know Greg is on here, and Greg and I had a great conversation yesterday, learning about some other industries that are also being affected by this. But I think also what a lot of people already on here kind of alluded to you is like, you know, thinking about subscriptions and services. A lot of the things that you kind of mentioned, you have a lot of great service-based types of capabilities and opportunity. I think the biggest thing is that I think for all of us right now is the educational piece. we should be educating in the sense of all of our customers, whether it is the government, whether it is, you know, individuals like us that we need services like the massaging. Shucks, I would love a massage, don't get me wrong. But really taking this time, and we have the power of the internet. We have the power to communicate to anyone and everyone around the world. This is something very crucial that we need to all take a step back and realize. I think, Michelle, you have a lot of education and knowledge in this particular field and industry. Start thinking about these services that you can provide, and then doing it as a subscription, and creating that value for that subscription is probably a good driving force to be able to kind of bring in some profits, and or just a new way for you to be innovative in your industry. Yes, I think at the same time, in all of our, whether we are in Congress, whether we're in politics or whatever it is, education is probably the biggest thing in this time and period, and creating that value for that education. I think with that, it's going to bring a large amount of work for us in the industry, in our respective industries. So really kind of take heart to, hopefully, that's what I'm doing. I mean, I have to be educated. I'm trying to gobble up everything I could possibly know about, whether it is the loan situation. I think for some of the things that we could possibly use, and I think all of us would love to use, is hopefully having somebody that we could come to and talk to and ask questions about these loan processes. Yes, I'm also one of those categories. I'm a small business owner, government business owner. I don't have a payroll. I'm kind of lucky and blessed to say yes to both sides to that. But the job and the work that I do, I'm lucky to say that I can do all of it myself, literally from beginning to end. So for me, yeah, am I eligible for this particular loan? Which loans are actually more appropriate? So that way we can kind of mitigate on the sense of, okay, well, we're not going to bombard this particular loan since it's already saturated here. Why don't we try this one? Or shucks, I mean, I don't know if everybody knows or remembers this. I know the governor of Virginia already set up grant programs that are out there still, you know, instead of just thinking of the loan aspects. But grants are also out there and available. So I think that educational piece is really important, in the sense of, if we could have somebody that we can talk to, ask questions, and be able to be relevant to each of our industries or each of our situations, I think that would be a great start to kind of helping all of us with that process, and then trying to find opportunities for all of us, you know, so we all can come together and do work and do business with each other. I think those two things are going to probably help us to get out of this.
And Andrew, I think that's an important thing for everybody. You know, we have local small business development centers that are region by region that have a lot of information from the SBA between national programs and state programs, but also local. I think another good source for everybody is the local community foundation. I know I'm in Fauquier County, so ours does not cover Prince William, but I believe it is the Northern, let's see, we have the Northern Piedmont Community Foundation, and I think you all have the Community Foundation of Northern Virginia, something close to that. Andrew, you might be able to help me out with which community foundation you have there, but your supervisors could be helpful too.
If I may?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. It's what you're referring to is the Human Services Alliance, and that's and I'll send it in the email, but it's CCONAWAY@alliancepwc.org. But I'll send it in the chat. But the other thing, just for clarity, I wanted to just go back to what Andrew was saying. Does that look like for you in description what you just said you would need? And explain the grants and loans. Does that look like a hotline of sorts where you can call in, or something that's available to you, someone that you can talk to hopefully explain so you can understand if that grant or loan is appropriate for you? I'm just trying to get a more deeper description.
So I think the best way, just kind of me even thinking about this, is like, first of all, if we try to do a hotline, I'm sure your phone will be ringing off the hook all the way through. I think we got to try to think of it in a way where everybody can be able to get in touch. So I think maybe it is possibly through the Zoom applications or these video conferences.
Okay.
Maybe it is, in a sense that, also, yes, we can create the hotlines, but we should have multiple different streams of avenue to be able to get these educators in front of us. Okay. And really, truly, in the sense of hopefully maybe even thinking about those people who are receiving those calls, that they are, in a sense, maybe in that industry, maybe, but they're well versed in what we are looking for. Yes, when it comes, let's just keep it on the topic of these loans or grants or things. They know every single thing about those types of things, and how it can relate. And so they have to have a large sense of the education of what the current environment is, what is currently going on. And yes, it's going to be a daunting task because every day things are changing. Every hour it's changing. And so I guess the best way that you guys could be able to create these teachers or create these educators, and then giving them multiple streams of avenues to be able to connect with all of us is going to be the best surefire way. Because yes, we do need to think about every single person and giving them the opportunity to get in touch. I mean, yes, the news kind of portrays a little bit of that frustration, and even in this conversation we're hearing a little bit about it too, but just really making sure that everybody has the opportunity to get in touch with these guys and do so. So whatever the best avenues would be, and to kind of plan accordingly and to try to make sure that everybody gets an appropriate amount of time to discuss that.
I think that's been one of the challenges, is that there's so much information and it's changing so quickly. We all did what Astrid said. We all did the deer in the headlights thing for a minute. And then all of a sudden it all broke loose and there was so much available, but it was changing every minute as everybody realized what was really reasonable, what was doable. And so first, I wanted to say, I don't know if you saw the chat, Teresa put in some links and some resources there for things for healthcare professionals, procurement and health products, places that you can go locally or get in touch with somebody for things if you might have to donate or sell. But then I wanted to get back to Brad, because there's a little bit of side chatter going on about how Brad is an expert, at least, or at least can speak to some of the PPE loans and processes. So I want to give him a couple of minutes.
Thanks. And I don't want to sort of derail this entire thing, because I've literally done 1 hour presentations on this topic. And Michelle, I apologize if I'm going to address some stuff that you may have already mentioned, just because I will admit I was multitasking, trying to answer stuff from clients at the same time, but I was listening to you. I think one of the issues we have with all this stuff under the CARES Act and the payroll protection plan and stuff, first of all, it's so new and it was not really well vetted. It was to try to pass an emergency. I mean, they started basically taking applications before they even finalized all of the programs. The bankers are trying to find out what's going on. But there's, the media narratives tend to be about either the, extended unemployment insurance or the small businesses doing for payroll. But what doesn't get focused on a lot is, and I hear people saying, it's well, I don't have any payroll, it's just me. That doesn't necessarily mean you don't qualify under the payroll protection plan. An individual, you don't even have to be a company, you don't have to be an LLC. You can be a qualified independent contractor is the term they use. You can be a sole proprietor. If you are pay, if you've been in business up, as of February 15th, which is the problem that Shauna had, we've already talked about that, she and I, in the past. If you have, even if the payroll is not run through a payroll, if it's your own, you're just paying yourself, up to $100,000 of any sort of effectively salary, you can take a monthly version of that and multiply by 2.5, and you can qualify for those forgivable loans. I know there's a lot of talk that, maybe the money ran out and the initial stuff, like as of this morning, and that may or may not be true. But it's almost certainly going to be passing more money. There's discussion on the Hill of whether they're trying to add some extra stuff to fund hospitals and some other things as well, but it will get through. So even if people haven't applied yet, and I know the banks are totally backed up. I've been trying to do this on behalf of some clients and my wife's company, quite frankly. So it's got a personal thing for me, and they're struggling to try to figure out every day. The plans change, the guidance changes. They're trying to they don't even know what to take from the applicants in terms of backup stuff. So it's confusing, it's frustrating, but there is some stuff out there. And, I recommend, whether it's you or other people, look into applying. The application is really short, and just if you get something in and start talking to the banker, hopefully you have some kind of banking relationship with some bank. They are trying to help people out. I know. I mean, they get 5% sort of origination fee, but they're basically, at the very worst, they're like 1% interest rate loans for several years. So I mean, it's relatively cheap money, and if you can get it forgivable, that's even better. So there's stuff out there, and feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to try to guide people in the right way. I don't know that there's a whole lot. I mean, I can do applications for people if they want. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just help people find the resources right now to sort of hopefully, get through this rough time. So.
And Brad, if you could maybe send some links, put it in the chat, or maybe email afterward. I think if you email Kelly at the chamber, some of those, I think we're going to wind up culminating a lot more information and links for people. Andrew, if you could do the same thing. I know there's a lot of local resources and little ones. I also know the SBDC person said, there's fraud alerts going on right now, all over the place, but specifically if you sign up for any of these small loans from your local banks and you do it through more than one bank, it is slowing down the process and creating fraud alerts. So if you are applying for one loan, make sure you're not applying for the same thing at 2 different banks, because that is just going to stall everything.
Right. You can theoretically apply for different loans under the SBA. There are the disaster loans, and there's this program, as long as you're not applying for money to cover the same topic. But yeah, if you're just like randomly applying to 4 different banks, hoping someone will get back to you, that's the kind of thing that'll trigger you being rejected, because you're not allowed to do that. So you're violating the statute. So.
Right. And so now I want to spend I know we don't have that much longer left, the last few minutes maybe talking and hearing from some other people, different problems. I'm going to pick on Jason just because I see you and I know who you are. I know you represent nonprofit world here. And I don't know if anybody else is in the nonprofit world other than the chamber itself. But what sort of struggles are you seeing? And is anybody else in the same boat? Are you there, Jason? I can't hear you. Unmute. I'm unmuting you. Can we hear you now? Nope. Can everybody read Jason's lips? Okay. All right. Let's see. Can you unmute yourself? I unmuted you. It didn't work. All right. I don't know what happened to Jason. How about anybody else? Does anyone have another unique problem, or maybe something that someone has spoken about? I see Marty Lawrence.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I own Needles in the Haymarket, which is a yarn needlepoint cross-stitch shop in Haymarket. My biggest concern right now is technically I am a non-essential business. However, my customers go crazy. Today is my 8th anniversary of owning my shop.
Congratulations.
Model, thank you, was never to actually be an online store. Why do it when there are a couple big ones that can do that better? We are now looking into, we've only ever sold gift cards and class signups online. We're looking into upgrading all that and doing some online sales. My biggest thing right now is it's your non-essential, so you can have 10 people in the shop, but we should social distance, or we should not encourage, as my son said, we shouldn't be part of the problem. We should be part of the solution, not encouraging people to come. So we're going to go back to curbside pickups because that seems to work pretty well. We're just confused. What are we supposed to do? Not be open, wait till May something, wait till June. If we open May, but they can't come out till June, we're confused to say the least. We don't know what to do. I was on track this year to have the biggest year. I had the biggest year I ever had last year. I was already on track the first 3 months to even beat that. So I'm just curious if from a general public standpoint and being a retailer, does it make sense to allow people to just come in, or does it make sense to just do curbside? I don't know at this point. I'm lost.
I think you have two different issues. One is, are you allowed to be open and having customers there? And that's something that I can't speak to for your business specifically, but I would say, the other part of it is reasonably, how much do you want to subject yourself or your employees to?
There's only 2 of us in here right now, myself and my son. My other employees, I haven't laid anybody off. They just opted to stay home. That's how they wanted to do it. And we're like, okay, I haven't laid you off. And if I get the payroll, the PPE loan I've applied for, I'll still pay you guys, even if you're not here, because then I can do that. We can put masks on, we can do different things. It's just, I'm very confused by the whole thing, because they're saying, yeah, you might be able to open again in May, but guess what? Nobody can come out to you till June. It's like,
can you do maybe by appointment only? Because I know, if I was going to do a project, I don't know that I could do curbside pickup. I wouldn't know what I wanted. I'd need to browse. So can you let people in maybe one at a time by appointment?
We actually started that. We had done that originally, and then we've been for a couple of weeks with, as we said, we don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. So we kind of cut that. But now it's like certain customers call and like, yeah, come in. You know exactly what you need. It's the looky-loos that cause the problem who aren't going to do anything, We're looking at going back to a by appointment though, because we got to do something. We got to get some cash flow. I mean, my landlord says he will work with me, which knowing my landlord means you're still going to have to pay me the full amount at some, but,
well, if you can come to some kind of compromise that eases you.
I'm working on that with him. My vendors have all been really good. They've let me, if I have terms or anything, they've let me spread my payments out. So I'm not even worried about that. My utilities, I'm on budget plans. That's like a no-brainer. I'm getting all that.
And one of the things that I've noticed is there's a lot you can do just on the personal side of things. I got a letter from my auto loan company the other day that said, if you're having trouble right now, just log on and tell us you need, 1, 2, or 3 months of your loan deferred to the end of it. So if you have a really small business and it's just you and it's affecting your personal finances, you might also want to try that. Can your mortgage company do anything for you? Can your auto loan company do anything? Will the utility companies do anything? I know DirecTV and AT&T are offering some free things with theirs, which doesn't really help you. It just entertains you for while you're home. But talking to your personal vendors and creditors help.
I'm
Michael,
back.
I want to ask you put a link in for a webinar you said everyone should watch. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, Mike Whitlock, transaction expert. This was with the Washington Board of Trade directly with the SBA guys. It was very eye-opening. So there's a PowerPoint presentation, and this is the replay from yesterday. And this guy directly is, about the money, everything. So it was pretty interesting to say the least.
We will add that. I'm going to email everybody afterwards, so I'll definitely include that link. Jason, I see you came back.
Yes, I don't know what happened.
Anything with retail, guys, call me about, whether it's online ordering I can help the restaurant with, or Marty, you can sell through your website. I can help you with that stuff. So guys, need anything, let me know.
Thank you. We're going to put out everybody who registered and participated as well, so that anybody you saw as a resource today that you think might be able to help you, you can reach out to. Jason, I'm going to give you the last word if you have one. How are nonprofits doing these days?
Yeah, so I'm, even though I put in the chat, I'm Loud Insurance Group, so I can update a couple things insurance as well really quick. But from the nonprofit side, we have the Sweet Julia Grace Foundation. How it hurts the nonprofits is obviously no one can fundraise right now. And we're missing out on a few events, but we've been very smart with our money. And even with that, people have been donating. We have helped, I don't know, 30 or 40 families so far with masks, cleaning supplies, hand sanitizer. Occasionally some people will drop off some toilet paper and paper towels, but we've got, a lot of soap and, because the kids we help, a lot of them are immune compromised and they need the masks as well. Just like when our daughter was alive, if we were even remotely getting sick, everyone in our house had to wear a mask to be around her. And that's what happens with all of the kids that we help, for the most part. The families have to wear a mask to be around these kids. So we're doing fine as a foundation. We wish we could do more. But anyone that needs anything, any of the kids that we've helped, which is a lot at this point, and the families, they come by our house, we set it outside and they come by and they get it, whatever they need. And from an insurance standpoint, real quick, I can tell you, just to piggyback on what you just said, just about every insurance company right now is refunding anywhere from 15, it's usually 15%. A couple are doing 20, I've seen one do 25 of your personal auto premium for April and May. So you'll either get that as a credit or you'll get that a check in the mail or debited to your account. I've seen a couple extend that to your business owner policy. Again, it's only 15% of April and May's premium, but I haven't seen that widespread on the commercial side. It's primarily just the auto, and that's because people are not out driving, so the claims have went down. So they've made more money, so they're refunding that. And as you know, we filed claims for the business interruption, and they've all been denied. And we instruct people that to begin with, because they were this is excluded from policies. But in my opinion, all the money probably could have been funded through the insurance carriers and paid everyone for business interruption, and this would have been a lot smoother countrywide than it is now. But I think going forward, we have something, anyone who has a business policy has a little section called the terrorism insurance. There's a TRIA Act out there. I think going forward, what you're going to see is something related to a pandemic like this also built into policies, so it can hopefully kick in, which, this time, who knows what's going to happen. There's a lot of lawsuits already trying to get money, but we'll see what happens. But we're just trying to help our business clients, look at their coverage, and most companies they're not sending out cancellations, they're waiving late pay fees. They're doing that on a case-by-case basis. So.
Thank you, Jason. Kelly, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Is there anything you wanted to say in closing from the chamber? I know we're past our 10 o'clock mark here, so I know everybody's going to move on with their day soon.
Sorry. There we go. Yeah, no, actually, I'm just glad that everybody was able to sign in this morning. Hope that you found it helpful. I think we're going to continue to try and do a series of these. So, just keep an eye out for our alerts. Check our website on a daily basis, and we will try and keep everyone informed as best as we can.
Well, thank you all for spending an hour with us this morning. If you didn't earlier, go ahead and put your name and business in the chat room, but we're going to share anything that we can later. If you have links you haven't shared that you think are helpful, throw those in there too. And we'll send out some of the notes and links and registration to everybody later. I hope you found it helpful.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
See you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hey, Jace.
Thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Hi, Miss Bailey.
You guys are cute.
Thanks, everybody.
It's funny, as people keep logging out, everybody else gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Sorry about that earlier when you called on me. It just
That's okay.
immediately froze, and then I had to restart it. And so
I was like, wow, talk about the deer in the headlights. Sorry. And I realized you weren't actually there anymore.
yeah. All right, you all take care.
Thanks, you too. Have a good day.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay.
So let's see, how do we do this? Do we need to end? I'm afraid
Yeah,
to
I'll go ahead and
but I'm
end the
afraid I'll lose
meeting.
you too.
You've got the recording?
I am